So today I'm going to talk about The Little Mermaid and why Hans Christian Andersen wasn't interested in a happy ending for his heroine. So, let's begin. The Little Mermaid lifted her clear, bright eyes toward God's sun, and for the first time her eyes were wet with tears. Unseen by them, she kissed the bride's forehead, smiled upon the prince, and rose up with the other daughters of the air to the rose-red clouds that sailed on high. So, this is not the story about a rebellious teenager. We're all used to Disney's version, where Little Mermaid rebels against her father, runs away, makes a deal with the devil, and after all of these really bad decisions, still gets the prince in the end. Yeah, the fairy tale was a little bit different. The Little Mermaid in the story does not merely want a prince to fall in love with her. That's only the beginning of her journey. The rest of it has to do with something higher, something beyond her. As her desire deepens, her world widens. Some aspects of the story are still the same. She still does have a statue. She's still a mermaid and lives underwater and wants to be part of the world above. But for her, it's more than just sort of a whim, sort of, what she wants in her heart. She's meant to represent something bigger than her, something beyond. And she's meant to represent the journey of the soul. Okay, so then in the story, just like in the Disney version, the Little Mermaid goes off to make a deal with the devil, the sea witch, right? And this seems to be the introduction to the villain of the story, right? She's got it all. She's creepy, she's vulgar, she's crass, she's bulbous and gross and, everything that the Little Mermaid isn't. So she must be the one who wants to, thwart the princess, right? Be her antagonist to the princesses, the Little Mermaid's protagonist. But that's not how it actually plays out. The Little Mermaid isn't meant to go to the sea witch and find an enemy. She goes to the sea witch because she is discovering that she's willing to get her hands dirty, so to speak, in order to discover something greater. And it's not that she has to, commit evil in order to gain something better, but that she's not afraid to run from that evil, right? When the evil is the pathway through which she has to walk, she's willing to do that. She could have kept herself free and clean in a sense, but like Christ, she chooses to walk amongst the sinners. And that for her is her path to purity. It's kind of a stretch to look at it that way, but it's way better of a look at it than the fact that the sea witch is her antagonist, which is just confusing when you read it for the first time because you're used to Disney's and you're used to Ursula, but that's not the point of her going to visit the sea witch. Okay, so if the sea witch isn't the enemy, then it seems like, just the pain of her being without a voice and the pain of her feeling like she's stepping on needles every time she walks, that seems to be enough to lead the princess, to lead the Little Mermaid to gaining her end goal, right? To fall in love with the prince. What else is there? What other obstacle could there be to her falling in love? Therefore, it must have a happy ending, right? No. Though the prince loves her with a great love, and he never actually makes her his bride. He falls in love with someone else. Someone else actually gets the credit of saving him. And he falls in love with her because Little Mermaid can't say anything against it. She doesn't have a voice. In her struggle to gain a soul, Little Mermaid has sacrificed her voice, her tail, her home, her family, and ultimately, she has to sacrifice her life. The sea witch told her, if you don't make the prince fall in love with you, you're going to die. But the prince didn't fall in love with her. He fell in love with someone else, and he married someone else, which means that the Little Mermaid is going to turn into sea foam. So her sisters, who love her very much, make a deal with the sea witch again. If the Little Mermaid kills the prince, in this case, actually commits a sin, right? Before she was only, allowing evil to kind of have an influence on her. Now she'd have to actually commit evil. So if she kills the prince, she will have an immortal soul. But of course she's our hero, and she doesn't do that, right? She loves the prince, and because of her love for a human, she wanted something beyond what she had. She wanted to go up to the the world of the humans, right? But then because of her love for him growing and maturing, she learns to be self-sacrificing. She's learned how to give of herself. And ultimately, she gives her life without any hope of a reward, and she turns into sea foam. Once cut down, it never grows again. Okay, so basically now she's dead. And this is a really sad ending. Like, who wants to read a story that ends this way, right? So why did I say in the title of my video that I like that the Little Mermaid dies? Am I just morbid? Do I just like really depressing things? Yeah, after a lot of introspection, I just have a dark soul. Okay, not really. I like it because the story delves deeper than just about human love. Most fairy tales use the story of a man and a woman falling in love to sort of hint at something deeper, something greater, the deeper realities that are in the human soul. But Hans Christian Andersen takes it a step further. He doesn't just hint at it, he actually shows it in beautiful, beautiful descriptive prose. He shows us this sort of watery, unclear realm where we're not really sure of what our soul yearns for. And then it becomes clear and clear until finally we want to rise above into a knowledge of our soul and into a striving to secure it, to secure an afterlife, something beyond what we experience. And finally, out of pure self-abandonment, without any hope for reward, we achieve that purity. And it's that purity that he takes it a step further. And the Little Mermaid does not just stay dead, she actually has another chance. She has another chance to rise up, live in this world above, a heavenly realm. There are so many layers. You've got the water layer, the human layer, and now finally we have the heavenly layer that takes her up to experiencing with depth and emotion and good deeds her existence towards immortality. So there's several layers to this story. Layer number one, the Little Mermaid's attention turns to someone besides herself. This is when she's in the watery world. Layer two, the Little Mermaid discovers there is more to life than she originally conceived. Layer three, the Little Mermaid wants to give herself completely to someone else. Layer four, the Little Mermaid keeps this desire for self-sacrifice even when there is no chance for reward. And finally, layer five, the Little Mermaid receives the ultimate reward anyway. The Little Mermaid ultimately is a saga of how a heart, yearning for deep fulfillment, was opened through human love to the possibility of something greater. Ultimately disappointed, as we all must be by mortals in the love of a man, her heart finds in eternity that bliss we all seek. That's why I like that the Little Mermaid dies, because it doesn't end with this world. It goes on, and Hans Christian Andersen gives us hope. He gives us hope for what comes after, which is really great and wonderful and deeply resonant in the human heart. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check back next week for my video on Snow White and why the Disney version is better than the original fairy tale. If you liked this video, please subscribe and share with your friends. Let's try for 200 views this week.